For 24 long years, Türkiye watched the World Cup from home. An entire generation of Turkish football fans grew up hearing stories about 2002. Stories of a fearless team that shocked the world, defeated giants, and somehow found themselves standing on the podium as the third best team on the planet. Back then, it felt like the beginning of something special. A new football power had arrived. But then they disappeared. Year after year, tournament after tournament, World Cup after World Cup, Türkiye failed to return. The dream faded. The excitement vanished. And what was once considered the future of football slowly became a distant memory. But now something has changed. Türkiye are back. Not just back at the World Cup. Back with belief. Back with purpose. And perhaps most importantly, back with a generation talented enough to make the entire football world pay attention. Led by two of Europe's brightest young stars, guided by a manager who has completely transformed the national team, and fueled by a nation desperate to relive the glory of 2002, Türkiye head into the 2026 World Cup carrying something they haven't carried in decades. Hope. The question is no longer whether they belong at the tournament. The question is whether they can shock the world once again. Because this might just be the most exciting Turkish team we've seen in a generation. And maybe, just maybe, they are capable of something far greater than anyone expects. For years, Turkish football felt trapped in an endless cycle. There was always talent, always passion, always expectation. But somehow, the results never followed. The national team would produce flashes of brilliance before crashing back down to earth. One qualification campaign would inspire hope. The next would bring disappointment. Players came and went. Managers changed. Promises were made. Yet the World Cup remained out of reach. After finishing third in 2002, Türkiye failed to qualify for the next 5 World Cups. 5. Think about that for a moment. Some of the country's most talented footballers spent their entire international careers without ever appearing on football's biggest stage. For a nation obsessed with football, that absence became painful. The memories of South Korea and Japan grew older. The legends of 2002 became stories told by parents to their children. And eventually, it began to feel as if that remarkable run was a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. But football has a funny way of changing when you least expect it. And Türkiye's turning point arrived in 2023. With qualification hopes hanging in the balance and pressure mounting from every direction, the Turkish Football Federation made a bold decision. Stefan Kuntz was dismissed. In his place came an Italian manager with no international experience. A man many outsiders viewed as a gamble. Vincenzo Montella. At the time, the appointment raised eyebrows. But inside Türkiye, there was cautious optimism. Montella had already built a strong reputation during his time with Adana Demirspor. He understood Turkish football. He understood the culture. And perhaps most importantly, he understood how to get the best out of talented players. What happened next changed everything. Almost immediately, Türkiye looked different. More organized. More confident. More fearless. The confusion that had defined previous years suddenly disappeared. Players knew their roles. The team had an identity. There was a plan. And most importantly, there was belief. Within weeks, Türkiye traveled to Croatia and delivered a statement victory that completely changed the mood around the national team. Then came dominant performances against Latvia. Then qualification. Then momentum. And suddenly, people started paying attention. The real breakthrough arrived at Euro 2024. Many expected Türkiye to participate. Few expected them to compete. What followed surprised almost everyone. Playing with courage and energy, Türkiye became one of the most entertaining teams in the tournament. They attacked without fear. They embraced pressure. And they looked completely comfortable on the big stage. By the time their run ended in the quarterfinals against the Netherlands, something important had happened. Europe had noticed. This wasn't the old Türkiye anymore. This was a young team, growing faster than anyone anticipated. A team whose best players were still years away from their peak. A team that suddenly looked capable of achieving something special. And at the center of that excitement stand two players who represent the future of Turkish football. Arda Güler and Kenan Yıldız. Two names that could define Türkiye's next decade. At just 21 years old, Arda Güler already carries the expectations of an entire nation. That kind of pressure destroys many young players. Güler seems to thrive on it. From the moment he emerged as a teenager, it was obvious he possessed something special. The vision, the creativity, the technical ability, the confidence. Everything about his game suggested he was destined for greatness. When Real Madrid signed him in 2023, the football world took notice. But the transition wasn't easy. Minutes were limited. Opportunities were scarce. Questions began to emerge. Had he moved too soon? Was he ready for this level? Could he handle the pressure? Güler answered those questions the way great players always do. On the pitch, patiently he developed. Gradually he earned trust. And eventually he became impossible to ignore. His performances began to speak for themselves. Goals from impossible angles. Assists that seemed invisible to everyone else. Moments of brilliance capable of changing games in seconds. Today, he isn't simply viewed as a talented youngster. He's viewed as one of football's most exciting creators. The player capable of unlocking defenses when nothing else works. The player capable of producing magic when his team needs it most. But what makes Türkiye truly dangerous is that Güler isn't carrying the burden alone. Because on the opposite side stands Kenan Yıldız. Another 21-year-old. Another superstar in the making. And another player capable of terrifying defenders. While Güler dazzles with creativity, Yıldız overwhelms opponents with directness. He wants to attack. He wants to dribble. He wants to make things happen. Every time he receives the ball, something feels possible. His rise at Juventus has been remarkable. Once considered one of Europe's most promising academy prospects, he has transformed into a genuine first-team star. Goals, assists, dribbles, big moments. Yıldız delivers all of them. But perhaps the most frightening thing about this partnership is their age. These aren't experienced veterans reaching the end of their careers. They're only getting started. Every month they improve. Every season they become more dangerous. And now they arrive at the World Cup, ready to introduce themselves to a global audience. For defenders, that should be a terrifying thought. Because when Güler and Yıldız are in rhythm, stopping one is difficult. Stopping both feels impossible. Yet football matches are not won by two players alone. And this is where Türkiye become even more interesting. Because surrounding their young stars is a squad filled with quality. A squad built with balance. A squad capable of competing in different ways. At the heart of everything stands Hakan Çalhanoğlu. For years, fans debated his best position. Attacking midfielder. Playmaker. Number 10. Deep midfielder. The discussion never seemed to end. Then came his transformation. Moving deeper into midfield completely changed his game. Suddenly, he wasn't just creating chances. He was controlling matches, dictating tempo, leading the team, providing the experience needed to guide a younger generation. His influence stretches far beyond statistics. When pressure rises, teammates look toward him. When games become chaotic, he restores calm. Every successful tournament team needs leadership. Türkiye have found theirs. Alongside him, players like İsmail Yüksek and Orkun Kökçü provide energy, intelligence, and balance. They allow the stars further forward to express themselves. They do the difficult work that often goes unnoticed. The work that wins tournaments. Defensively, Türkiye have also become stronger. Far stronger. One of the biggest reasons for their recent success has been organization. Under Montella, the team understands how to defend as a unit. Everyone works. Everyone presses. Everyone contributes. Gone are the days when Türkiye relied solely on talent. Now they combine talent with discipline. That combination makes them dangerous. Very dangerous. The defensive partnership led by Mary Demirel brings experience and aggression. Goalkeeper Ugurkan Sakir provides reliability. Ferdi Kadioglu offers quality and versatility from wide areas. Across the pitch, there are solutions. Across the pitch, there is depth. Across the pitch, there is competition. And that matters. Because World Cups are rarely won by 11 players. They are won by squads. The challenge for Türkiye is that they still have weaknesses. Every team does. And theirs is obvious. The absence of an elite striker. For all their creativity and attacking talent, Türkiye lack a proven world-class number 9. A player capable of converting half chances into goals. A player capable of deciding knockout matches with a single touch. That void has existed since Burak Yilmaz stepped away from international football. And despite several promising options, nobody has fully replaced him. Could it become a problem? Absolutely. At the highest level, missed chances are punished. World Cups are decided by moments. One finish. One opportunity. One goal. Türkiye cannot afford to waste the opportunities created by Güler and Yıldız. If they become clinical, they can beat almost anyone. If they don't, their journey could end earlier than expected. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. How far can this team actually go? The safe answer is the knockout stage. Anything less would be disappointing. The talent is there. The confidence is there. The experience is growing. And the group stage presents genuine opportunities. But nobody dreams about simply reaching the round of 16. Not in Türkiye. Not after 24 years of waiting. Fans want more. Players want more. And deep down, they believe more is possible. The beauty of football is that history doesn't care about predictions. Nobody expected Croatia to reach a World Cup final. Nobody expected Morocco to reach a semi-final. Nobody expected Türkiye to finish third in 2002. And yet all of those things happened. Why? Because tournaments create opportunities for brave teams. Teams with momentum. Teams with belief. Teams that arrive convinced they belong. Türkiye fit that description perfectly. They possess youthful fearlessness. They possess technical quality. They possess tactical structure. And perhaps most importantly, they possess hunger. The kind of hunger that comes from waiting 24 years for another chance. That emotional edge cannot be measured by statistics. It cannot be shown on graphs. But it matters. Sometimes it matters more than anything. Because World Cups are not always won by the most talented teams. They are often shaped by the teams that believe the most. And right now, Türkiye believe. They believe in Montella. They believe in Güler. They believe in Yıldız. They believe in themselves. Whether that belief carries them to another historic run remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The rest of the football world should not underestimate them. Not this time. Because this isn't a team arriving simply to participate. This isn't a team happy just to be back. This is a team carrying the dreams of millions. A team built around one of the most exciting young generations in world football. A team determined to prove that 2002 was not a miracle. It was a preview. And if everything comes together over the next few weeks, the world may discover that Türkiye are no longer football's forgotten dark horse. They are football's next great surprise.